Kickstarters. We got a few big ones for you. Two especially that are very big. The first one we're going to talk about is kind of just because we had to, is the big release this week from CMON called Hate.
And we hate it. No, just kidding.
I don't know. Well, it's based on a graphic novel series called The Chronicles of Hate, which I've never read. I don't think you've ever read it. We never read it.
I did not know about this until the game came
Yeah,
out.
I didn't know either. I knew this game was coming. I had no idea it was based on anything. From CMON, from the team that brought you Zombicide, and according to their Kickstarter, under the supervision of Eric Lang. Of course, he works at CMON now, so I guess all their games
Yeah, I was about to be like, isn't everything?
under his supervision. Yeah, so take that as however much you think input he had. But it's basically a miniatures battle war game. This very gritty, bloody, violent tone, kind of like a Conan thing, but way
Yeah, I was about to say
more
like,
hardcore.
sort of. I want to say it's like Viking time era, but think of Raiders from Fallout, like the skulls and everything, like and almost people just giving up and gone completely insane.
Yeah, I'll be honest. So watching the Kickstarter video, the tone really kind of turned me off. And I think it's something that people might either love or hate. The game is well past funded right now, but it's very in your face. They curse a lot in the video. It almost I feel crosses over into the realm of self-parody, or it's just a little. It feels like a 90s like extreme. It's so violent and in your face, and how cool is this? And I'm kind of like, it's not that cool to me anymore.
I know they announced that. I'm wondering if this is part of it, but like they start saying like, we're gonna make some games that are only gonna be sold through our site.
That's the other thing. This game is it's 100. I'm just gonna come out with it. $120
for the base.
That's it. In fact, that's
okay.
There's
so
only one tier, $120, and you will never see this game anywhere else. Kickstarter exclusive.
Their own site.
According to their campaign, maybe down the line, but what it says on the page is Kickstarter exclusive. So I'm sure if they maybe would do a second Kickstarter printing. But yeah, so, and they said because one, I think because it's so expensive to produce. Two, because they said specifically it's so violent and for mature audiences that they think it's harder to get that audience outside of Kickstarter. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with those points. I do think it's because it's expensive. I'll agree with you there. I think it's because it has a much narrower audience, not because it's violent, because Cards Against Humanity.
That's true. That's true.
I think it's because it's based on a property which, as far as we know, it's not like an obvious one if you say people are going to know. And because of that, to me, when I looked at it, I could have sworn I've seen some of these models before. Like, the artwork looks sort of very...
It's generic, I think is a fair term.
Like, maybe you said Conan. I think from some of their own games, I think I've seen it. And I know a bunch of other
Zombicide, Black Plague.
Well, not even Zombicide. Zombicide's a bit more cartoony, but, like...
Yeah.
At least I think they're CMON games. It's just... I think I've seen it before, and I just don't know if it'd be like, is it worth it? And a lot of the... I know... is Rising Sun them?
Yep,
like
right.
That's coming out this year, so and that's different. We've played it and have really enjoyed it. Their other one, the
Song of Ice and Fire, is coming
Song of
out
Ice
this
and
year.
Fire. They also have the remember this is a Kickstarter, so but I know I backed it. It's based on their Majesty line. It was another miniatures game.
I know what you're talking about, but I will never remember the name if you don't. So
so that's coming out too.
They have a lot of
mini games, and I'm like, this
out.
one doesn't feel to be, at least for me, to be worth putting into right now.
It had some cool stuff to it. Like there's some interesting like terrain mechanics that come into play with the battles. But honestly, for me, the game might be kind of fun, but really the theme, and that rarely happens with me. Really, just the theme of it, I wasn't feeling. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting experiment if people. Well, the experiment's successful so far because they, like I said, well overfunded. So if you want a copy, check that out. That's called Hate, which is
Let
a
us
great
know
name.
if you backed in why we're completely wrong.
Yeah, or if you've read the comic, that'd be very interesting to hear your perspective.
I mean, if you read the comic, then yeah, I'd say that probably makes much more sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame you for liking something.
I will blame you for liking anything you like. Now, next up is the game Nemesis.
Yes, another game that has been well funded.
Yeah, a game that we had a bit of a fight over as to who would get to back it. So Nemesis, is published by Awaken Realms, who also published This War of Mine and Lords of Hellas. They're really making a big push for these Kickstarter, and I believe the designer is also the guy who did Lords of Hellas.
Yeah, and this game, I want to say it's everything you like. The game itself is you're on a spaceship. You love space.
Love space.
And you are trying to survive. Thing is, everyone has their own goals, and odds are they probably don't care for other people to die to get the goals done.
Yeah, it's semi-cooperative. There are hidden objectives, things that can change along the way.
People can turn into aliens, and there are actually different alien groups, I think at least through Kickstarter, so that means you might not always fight the same kind of creatures.
The aliens can actually evolve over time, so depending on how long your game takes, that might happen. There are, of course, several large minis included, and I would say reminiscent might be too soft a word, but I don't know if plagiarism is quite necessary. But certainly the minis look like xenomorphs. Right?
I definitely was gonna say it's heavily inspired, except instead of the aliens by themselves, but instead of the regular crew of the ship, everyone's the android.
Yeah,
with their secret goal. That's pretty much.
And you can be what they had, like a scout, scientist, soldier.
It was a scout, soldier, medic. No, the medic was you had to back it within 24 hours.
You missed out.
I think at least. Maybe it's like free then.
Yeah, maybe.
There's the scientist who's in a wheelchair. I remember because they're like this badass like laser futuristic wheelchair. And I think there's one more. Did we say pilot?
Pilot.
Yeah, that's the
You
one.
can go look at the page. Anyway, yeah, the game looks really cool. I mean,
we're big fans of aliens, and like I said, semi-hidden roles for everyone though, which is fun because then you have to be like, not because are you the Cylon? You have to be like, do I trust you enough that you're not just trying to get your own?
Yeah, big, gorgeous art. Sounds like a lot of variation in what can happen from game to game. A lot of cool things going on. It is a big, expensive one. Not as expensive as as Hate. It's $97 for that core box.
With a whole lot of stretch goals.
Yeah, including all the stretch goals.
And we should mention that just like this War Mine, sound is back.
Oh yeah, you can make noise, and the aliens will find you.
And I'm excited because we played this War Mine and we loved it. We thought great adaptation. And I'm curious because the app has a function where you can actually literally put your phone down and it'll listen for noise. So if they do something for this,
seems like a no-brainer to carry over.
It'd be terrifying and fantastic.
And we didn't play Lords of Hellas, but it looked really cool. So liking the things coming out of this publisher for sure. So that's Nemesis, $97. Finally, if you don't have that kind of money, there was one little game that I thought looked kind of cute called Noises at Night. And basically the way this game works is you're a bunch of kids actually you're not a bunch of kids. You're a bunch of characters in Grandpa's creepy old house.
I don't like where this is going. Is there going to be an old lady shouting Yahtzee?
Could be. And you hear weird noises at night. And everyone's going to have a secret role. So you could be the kid, you could be the mom or the dad, or you could be like a ghost or a boogeyman. There's different weird stuff going on. And there's going to be different locations. And your card is going to tell you a certain symbol type and a certain location. And you're going to get points at the end of the game if there are clue cards, which you will place under your specific location, or if your symbol shows up anywhere. And anyone can play clue cards at any time with different symbols to different locations that have different effects. And there are going to be points throughout the game where, based on the clues people have put out and where they've put things, you're trying to also guess what everyone else is. And the earlier you guess, the more points it's worth. The later you guess, the fewer points it's worth. So it's like a deduction hit and roll game, but it's also semi-cooperative because if you put some of your cards face up, they count as points for the whole group. So there's interesting stuff at play there, and it's a very cute art style. It's only, they say, 15 minutes to play. Definitely something I think younger gamers could get into.
Now, does anyone play as the grandpa?
I don't know. Maybe that's like the final boss.
I feel like this is going to end up like a certain video game. I don't want to say because it is spoiling it, where you find out that the monster was just one of your someone you knew the whole time.
I do remember that game. Good tease. Yeah. Anyway, it looked cute. Noises at Night. It's for $19 on Kickstarter right now.
Much less than our 2 previous games.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you remove the minis, games drop in price.
It's crazy, isn't it? Those minis, man. Those minis. If you enjoyed this video, it was just a snippet of our full-length podcast, which you can find on our YouTube channel every week. So please go ahead, like, and subscribe for more board game-related content coming at you in the future.
And don't forget to check out rollforcrit.com, where we actually sell a lot of the games we talked about, as well as post news and all our other videos. Until then, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this is Roll for Crit.